Here we go. Just need to get the get this Instagram feed started. All right, there we go. Oh, looks like it's frozen up on Instagram, but I am Coach James. I am the creator and lead instructor for All About Aerodynamics, and this is Wind Tunnel Wednesday, where we take Hot Wheels cars and we put them in the 1/64th scale wind tunnel created by FunTech Labs, and we are able to take a look at the aerodynamic profiles of the different cars. And that is important because we race Hot Wheels cars every Saturday on AtTheTrack.live, our ongoing program where we introduce new cars into the fleet, and beyond that, we allow viewers to pick cars to race on our 1/64th scale quarter-mile drag strip, and it is set up, it is ready to go. And we use it in conjunction with All About Aerodynamics, our science program that uses Hot Wheels cars to teach kindergarten through 6th grade students about a range of science and physics-related topics, including, but not limited to, friction, force, aerodynamics, drag, lift, Isaac Newton and his 3 laws of motion, kinetic energy, potential energy, elastic energy, and a range of topics. After the students have learned all of the science, after we've conducted experiments to drive home those concepts, then and only then do I bring in about 400 different Hot Wheels cars, and each student gets to select a Hot Wheels car they think would be fastest in a series of races based on everything they've learned in the class. And once they have selected their car, they weigh their car, they test the speed of their car, they check the year the car was manufactured, they enter all of that information that they can observe into a spreadsheet. Then we hit the track. They set up the 1/64th scale quarter-mile drag strip, and we race the cars. They observe how their cars performed and see if their cars performed up to or below their expectations, and if they had the opportunity, would they select those cars again, or would they make a different selection based on everything that they learned? So we have fun with Hot Wheels cars. We learn science and what could be better. If you would like more information about our science program, All About Aerodynamics, and how to bring it to your school, your organization, or your special event, you can go to our website, aerodynamics.com, or you can follow us on Instagram, Aerodynamics, and all of the information you'll need to connect with me and find out more information is in the bio. And it's a great program. Students have fun. They learn a lot. But this is not all about aerodynamics. This is all about Aerodynamics Presents Wind Tunnel Wednesday. So, Wind Tunnel Wednesday, we are going to take cars. We are going to put them in the wind tunnel. We're going to turn on the airflow, and we're going to see how the smoke flows over, under, and around those cars. And based on what we observe, we are going to then have an idea about the car's aerodynamic profile, and we can get some ideas about how it will perform on the track. Now, some of these cars have already been on the track, and now we want to see, check out their aerodynamic profiles, whereas other cars have not yet been on the track. And we have, currently in our fleet, we have 865 cars. If you would like to see one of those cars in the wind tunnel, all you have to do is go to AtTheTrack.live. You'll have 3 options. One will be the YouTube stream link, one will be the Twitch stream link, which you don't need because you're already here. But the third link, the third option, is most important. It's the one that says choose a car. And if you select that option, you will be taken to this page. And on this page, you will be able to scroll through and take a look at all of the cars that are currently in the All About Aerodynamics at the Track Live fleet. You will be able to see our range of cars. We have cars from the 70s, 80s, 90s, the 2000s. We have every type and kind of Hot Wheels car that you can imagine. We have character cars, we have fantasy cars, we have cars based on real cars, we have El Caminos, we have Firebirds, we have trucks, we have Batmobiles. Boy, do we have Batmobiles. We have over a dozen different Batmobiles. We've got Corvettes, Ferraris, Lamborghinis, plenty of Lamborghinis, McLarens, Jaguars. We've got cars that look like spiders. We've got hatchbacks. We've got station wagons. We've got Volkswagen Bugs. We've got hovercrafts. We've got boats. We've got airplanes. We've even got trains. We've got ice cream trucks. We've got taco trucks. We have limousines. We have cars from movies that you may like. We have cars from movies that you may not like. We have trucks. We have cars that are based around fish. We have Piranha. We have Nemo. We have a rubber ducky car. There are so many different types and kinds of cars in our fleet. There is the hot dog car. We even have a few Matchbox cars thrown in. But there are so many different styles and types of cars in our fleet that if you find the car that you think would be faster than whatever cars I've introduced into the fleet on Saturdays, all you have to do is take the number of the car. Let's say you think this Aston Martin Vulcan is the car. You can click on it. You can get a closer look at the car. And you can say, you know what? I think that's the car. That's the one that I want to go with. Then all you have to do is take that number, in this case 169, you drop that in the chat. I will pull the car, and then we'll stick it in. Today we'll put it in the wind tunnel. On Saturday we'll take it to the track. But today is a good time to kind of find the car that you really want to see on the track. And let's say you can't decide between two cars. You're thinking, maybe this car, maybe that car. Then this is a good time. You pick both of those cars, drop the numbers in the chat. I will pull both cars. We will put those in the wind tunnel, and based on what you observe, you can see which car you think would have a better chance of performing better on the track. I am going to reset this Instagram feed. I don't know how this is going to work. It may work, it may not work. I think I might have to go back in and re-establish the video. Oh, there we go. We are still back up. All right, and so with that said, all of the cars that we have available, there are 865. You should be able to find the car that well, I'm not going to say that can definitely beat our fastest in fleet car, but maybe you can find the car that can at least give it a good, solid run for its money. And when I say the fastest in fleet car, I mean our champion car. The car that has defeated every car it has faced every Saturday for the past 2.5 months. And then last year, it had a 17-week run where it defeated every car that it faced. And the car that is currently our fastest in fleet car is this one. It is the Blitz Speeder. It is the fastest Hot Wheels car on the planet. We have not found a car really that can even come close to beating the Blitz Speeder. Although, I do have to say that last November, we had a car that did, in fact, beat the Blitz Speeder, the Gazella R. And the Gazella R somehow managed to take 2 races in a row from the Blitz Speeder and became our new fastest in fleet champion. It remained so for 16 weeks, and then it ran into the Blitz Speeder again in a return matchup, and the Blitz Speeder absolutely blew the doors off the Gazella. Now, what all that means for us is that we know that the Blitz Speeder is fast. We know that it's the fastest car in the fleet. So we are going to take the Blitz Speeder. We're going to put it in the wind tunnel. And when we do that, we are going to be able to see the aerodynamic profile of the Blitz Speeder. We're going to be able to see how drag will impact the performance of the car. And we're going to see some things with the Blitz Speeder that are things that you really want to see in the cars that you pick. So let's get the Blitz Speeder and take it to the wind tunnel, and we will see what we see. So let me get the Blitz Speeder in here, and I am excited because the company that makes this wind tunnel, Funtech Labs, is in the process of putting into production a dyno. So what that works with this wind tunnel. So what that will allow us to do is to raise the cars up, and the dyno, it has rollers in the front and back, so the wheels will be sitting on these rollers, and we'll get to see the air hit the front of the car and not just go over the top. We'll get to see the air coming underneath the car, but more importantly, we'll just raise the car up so that when we turn on these smoke streams, they won't just be hitting, we won't just be dealing with the first smoke stream. We'll be dealing with streams 2 and sometimes 3. So not sure when that's going to ship based on their Instagram account. It looks like that is going to be sooner than later, so I'm looking forward to one day soon getting that package in the mail. But for now, we're going to take a look at the Blitz Speeder in the wind tunnel, and we are going to take a look and see why this car is our fastest in fleet. So we are ready to go. Let's get this wind tunnel fired up. We should get a little puff of air coming through here in just a moment. There we go. So we're going to take this up to, we're going to start off, it's at 67 miles per hour. Let's see if I can adjust this. So that's not enough to really see any kind of distinct patterns in the airflow. So we're turning it up. We're up to 107 miles per hour. And of course, what we are looking for is how the air flows over the body of the car. Over, under, and around, but in particular, the over. And what we don't want to see is the air separating from the body, because that will create a pressure differential that will work to slow the car down. So let's go up in speed. We're up to 134 miles per hour, and what we're really paying attention to is this first smoke stream. It's a little light right there, but it's hitting the front of the car, going up over the hood, to the windshield, to the roof, and then across the back. That is what we want to focus on, because as we turn the speed up, so now we're up to 147 miles per hour. And what we're seeing is that first smoke stream is still adhering right to the body. We see the separation, that black line right there. That's just the separation between the first stream of smoke and the second. So we're not really seeing the first flow of air. There's no detachment from the body. It's just flowing right along the curves of the Blitz Speeder. Let's go up to 188 miles per hour. So now we really are seeing the separation in terms of the first stream and the second stream, and that's what that black line is. So we see that the second stream is just flowing over the top, but that first stream, the air is hitting the car, flowing right up over the hood, the windshield, the roof, and then right off the back edge. And that is what we want to see, because what that means is that we're not going to get a big impact from pressure drag, which would occur if we saw a separation of the airflow at any point on the car. For most cars, we usually see it right around the middle to the back of the roof line. The air separates off, and when I put a car in here where we see that happening, then I'll explain exactly what it is we're looking at. But with the Blitz Speeder, this car is just next level fast. This is 201 miles per hour. And part of the reason why the Blitz Speeder performs so well on the track is it is able to reduce the impact of drag. And once a car can reduce the impact of drag, then it has a great shot of moving quickly down the track. And that is ultimately what we want to see happen. And the more a car can reduce the impact of drag, the longer it can maintain a higher rate of speed down the track. And in the end, that will usually result in a win. Now, the Blitz Speeder is pretty much the ultimate car as far as reducing the amount of drag that it experiences. And that is because of this shape. So when you're picking a car, when we put it in the wind tunnel, what you want to see is you want to see the air flowing over the car you pick, similar to the way it's flowing over the Blitz Speeder. Because if you pick a car that does not reduce drag, the impact of drag, like the Blitz Speeder, then you're gonna have a tough time. Because the Blitz Speeder, I mean, you might be able to beat some other cars, but you're not going to beat the Blitz Speeder if you're not able to reduce drag pretty significantly. And there are some cars that we've seen that just don't have the right aerodynamic profile to compete with the Blitz Speeder. So the Blitz Speeder is the gold standard. Hey, Christopher, how you doing? Let's see, the Salt Shaker and the Mach Speeder. Okay, those are two solid choices. The Mach Speeder was actually one of the first championship cars that we had. I think it was before I came up with the idea of fastest in fleet, but we had different races, and the Mach Speeder was one of the first cars that was pretty dominant until we started bringing more cars into the mix, and then it lost some races and hasn't really been picked too often on AtTheTrack.live, but students I work with do tend to pick that car. So let's take a look. You're interested in 16, the Salt Shaker. That is another car that gets picked somewhat frequently. The Salt Shaker right here. It's definitely an interesting car because, like with most of the fantasy cars, it just has a low profile. There's nothing on the top of the car that would impede or get in the way of the airflow. So we have that's going for it, and that's a plus, so I will grab that car. And then we're talking about number 52, the Mach Speeder, which is right here. And that has definitely been one of my favorite cars to race. And I think what ends up happening with the Mach Speeder is those cone, I don't even know what to call those. They're these sort of open cone areas in the front. And I feel like they trap the air there and almost work as a parachute and create just more drag that reduces the speed of the car. And when it starts to race those cars at kind of a higher level, then it ends up costing it a bit of speed going down the track. So let me grab those two cars, 16 and 52. And we will take a look. Let's see. So let me first bring up the salt shaker. Pull that over here and switch the view. Now we can take a look at it. So we've got the salt shaker, and I think with this car, the area that I'll be interested to see what happens when we put it in the wind tunnel is right here with these kind of big turbine engines on the side. If these were engines, you know, like an airplane, then these would be sucking air in, pushing it out the back, and that would actually help improve the speed of the car. But with this being a Hot Wheels car, this is not an open area. So what's going to happen when the air hits this frontal area, when the air goes right in there, what's going to happen? And on the other side as well, the question is, will it work to slow the car down? So what we should get an idea of in the wind tunnel is what's going to happen right there. Now in the middle, when we put this car in the wind tunnel in the middle, the air is almost certainly going to just flow right up over the top and off the back. So the middle part of this car isn't the issue. It's the question of what happens on these sides. And we also, I'm noticing that it's got these little disc wheels, and up until a few weeks ago, we never had a car with these type of wheels, do well on our track. But we did have one, the Formula Solar, had those wheels, had a very low profile, and went pretty deep in our tournament. So we are going to see if the salt shaker, if that's the car that Christopher ends up selecting, we'll see if the salt shaker can live up to that standard. So let's get it lined up here. We can already see that those, just calling those kind of turbine engines on the side, are pretty big, pretty significant. So what I'm going to do is, so right now I have the car lined up in the center. Let me lock this down. And then, so what you can see is right now it's lined up in the center. That gray line is where the smoke trails are going to hit the car. So then after we take a look at it in the center, we'll move it off center so that the smoke hits right into one of those engines, and we can see what impact that may or may not have on this car. So, all right, let's get things started. Yep. Yeah, let's go. Let's just jump up to our kind of normal starting point, which is 67 miles per hour. It's not extremely fast by any means. I'm going to try and I'm going to move this just a little bit, trying to reduce the glare. All right, let's turn this up so we can actually see a little bit of separation. As objects move faster through the air, then drag becomes more of a factor. And we're at 134 miles per hour, 161. And really what we're just seeing is the air, looking at this first flow of air, it's hitting the front of the car. It's coming right up over the top because there's nothing in that, especially in the middle, there's nothing to obstruct the airflow. And it's coming right up over the top. And there's a little bit of detachment from the body right in this area in the center, but nothing too significant. And the air pulls right through the middle and off the back. And you can kind of see that airflow just straight down the center. And that's not really anything that we're surprised about or didn't expect to see, based on the shape of the car. And even when we take this up to 188 miles per hour, you can start to see just a little bit of separation right here from the body. The airflow is coming up over the top, but then it reconnects at the back end and then just tails off. So that's nothing to be concerned with. What we're going to do is bring the wind tunnel down, and then we're going to reposition the car to see what happens when the airflow hits these turbine engines on the side. So let's let me move the car over just a little bit. And there we go. Right about there. So now, what we should see, let me move over just a little bit more. Okay, that looks pretty good, and I'll show you how I've moved it in just a moment. So now you look and you see that gray line. That is where the smoke is going to come out. And now it's more lined up with the that turbine engine. So actually I'll push it over just a little bit more. Oh, just a little bit more so that we can make sure that the air, that smoke is hitting right on that engine. There we go. All right, so now we're going to see what happens. And the reason why this is important is because in the middle of the car, where there's nothing to obstruct the airflow, the salt shaker, it's got a pretty good aerodynamic profile. But we're going to see what happens now when the air hits this turbine engine. Okay, so we're at 67 miles per hour, which again is not a significantly fast speed. It's just where we start. It's a good starting point. And let's go up. We're up at 107. And what we can see is that the air is hitting this turbine right here, and you can see it's kind of stacking up right there in front, and then has to figure out, all right, it has to flow over, under, and around that area where it got trapped. So let's turn this up and see if we can see a little more clearly what's happening. Okay, so here's the thing to look at. It might be a little hard to see, but right in this area where the image gets a little hazy, the reason why is because the air is getting trapped in this area, in this white part, and then it's coming out, and then it's just sort of spilling off from the sides. Let me see if I can get a better view of what's happening there. It's tough because it's very faint what's happening, but it is, You can kind of see it there. You can kind of see, if you look at the bottom of that turbine in the front, you see the air coming out from the bottom around the edge. You kind of see it there. And again, the area that we're looking at this area right here. We are at 161 simulated miles per hour, so let's go up to 188. And now the other thing that we're seeing is some of the air from this first stream is going up over the top, and when it goes over the top, it's still just kind of, once it gets to this point, it just separates. And when the air separates from the body of the car, it's going to create an area of lower pressure. So there is high pressure being created here where the air is being stopped, and basically by this large closed surface. And then it separates from the body. When it separates from the body, it creates areas of lower pressure. There's higher pressure in the front, lower pressure toward the back, and that creates pressure drag, which ultimately works against the car's forward momentum and could slow it down. So the salt shaker is an interesting pick. And you can see some of the air just flowing right out from beneath. You can also see a bit of the separation right there. But this is what we are seeing. So we move the car over a bit, and that's where the airflow is hitting. So with the salt shaker, it's going to be interesting. If this is the car that gets picked to race on Saturday, it's going to be interesting to find out whether or not this ultimately this car loses momentum toward the back end of the track because of the impact of drag and this air being trapped by these two turbines on either side. You can see here when I slow it down, it's a little easier to see, but the air is just getting trapped right in there. So if you compare it to a car like the Blitzspeeder doesn't have any of those same issues. So the air is able to just kind of flow right on over the car without any obstruction. And what we're going to see with the Mach Speeder is going to be something a little similar. So let me put the Mach Speeder up and we'll take a look at that. So with the Mach Speeder, it's a similar question that we had with the salt shaker because of these two open areas here, these kind of cones, or I don't know what they were supposed to be. Like if you see a drawing, the artist version of this car, were those supposed to be open like on some supercars where you see openings for the air to flow over the tires and around different components? I don't know, but they're closed, and so air is definitely going to go right into these open areas, be trapped, and since there's no exit point, the air is going to have to come out and go over, under, and around this point of the car. The question is that going to create enough drag and enough of a problem that it's going to slow this car down at the back end of the track, toward the middle and back end of the track? that is pretty much what we see with cars that have some issue with regard to drag. And if they have not minimized the impact of drag, then we'll start to see them slow down toward the back end of the track. It's pretty noticeable when it happens, but it all really just depends. So let's grab the mock speeder, and we will put that into the wind tunnel, and we will see. I think we'll do exactly what we just did with the salt shaker, and we'll put the car in the center of the wind tunnel to begin with and see what happens, what results we get, what we observe, and then we will move it a bit so that those open areas are lined up with the airflow, so we can see exactly what's happening. So to start off with, the car is lined up right in the center of the wind tunnel, and we will get an idea about this car's aerodynamic profile. So let's go ahead and get this up to our starting point of 67 slow miles per hour. And what we can already see is there's some turbulence back here, but at 67, it doesn't really matter. We're going to turn this up so we can get a better look at what's happening. Now, when we go up to 107 miles per hour, which is where we're at now, what we're starting to see is the air is hitting the front of the car, coming up the short hood to the windshield to the roof line. But then, unlike the blitz speeder, the air is not following the curve of the body all the way to the end. Once it gets to this point, it is detaching. And let's go ahead and turn the speed up. So now we're at 147 miles per hour, and we are still seeing the air in that first flow come up over the top. And at this point, when you can see that little thin black line, that is showing that there's still separation between the first stream and the second stream, and that the airflow is adhering to the contours of the body. But as you get toward the back, that dark line of separation starts to fade, because that first stream, the air is detaching from the body of the car and kind of rising up. So let's go up, turning this up to 161 miles per hour. Now we're at 188, and the air is definitely detaching from the body, and you can see it. It's just flowing right up above. So when the air detaches from the body, at the point where it detaches, it starts to create an area of low pressure, which is here. There's high pressure at the front, low pressure at the back, so that pressure drag, again, the air is going to be trying to go from areas of high pressure to low pressure, and that's working against the forward momentum of the car. But, so we're seeing that, which would already kind of raise, not red flags, but it would raise questions in my mind about whether or not this is the car, especially if I'm looking down the road thinking, I need to find a car that can beat the blitz speeder. So if you're looking at it in that regard, you have to take what we just saw into account and think that's not exactly what we want to see. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move the car. I'm going to move it over, because right now, when it was in there, it was on that center line. But I'm going to move the car over so we can see what exactly is going to happen when the airflow hits these open cone areas in the front. So just like we did with the salt shaker, and to get an idea about what would happen with those big turbine engines, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to move this over so that it is lined up on right there. And I will show you what I just did. And so that's that gray line. I see there's a reflection, but you can kind of see it. That gray line right there is the line that the smoke follows. And so now when it comes out, it's going to hit that cone, and I'm going to push this over just a little bit more to make sure, because what we want to see is what happens when the air hits that cone. And I'm calling it a cone. That's pretty much what it looks like. It just looks like a big plastic cone. If it didn't have that, I think this car could probably still be one of our fastest cars. But unfortunately, you can't change the design. You have to go with the design that it's got. So here we go. Let's see what we can get. I'm gonna jump up to our 67 mile per hour starting point, and 67 miles per hour is just too slow to really make any kind of serious assessments. But one thing we are seeing, see if I can get it on the camera, is the air is hitting that cone. As you can see, we have it lined up to hit that. It's hitting it, and then it's spilling out of the bottom. So we can see that as well, that the air is hitting this cone and then spilling out the bottom and detaching from the body of the car. And even right here you can see it, because all of this, you can see the smoke right there. So it's the first stream is coming out, hitting this cone, and then as the air spills out of there, some of it is coming around the bottom and sides, and it's still detaching from the body of the car, which is not exactly what you want to see. But this is at low speed, so let's go ahead and turn this up and see what we see. So you can see that airflow got a little tighter and a little faster, but it's still spilling out right after it hits that cone, and that's not ideal. And it gets now we're up to 134 miles per hour. So it gets a little tougher to see, but for the most part you can still see what's happening. We're up to 147 miles per hour. $161. And even at 174. So it seems that airflow has been reduced, but it's still, I can still see it. It's faint, but the air is still, when it hits this cone, it is spilling out below. But as the airflow has gotten stronger, more air is being pushed up over the top, and we're up to 188 miles per hour. And notice we're still also seeing this separation at the back end, which is not ideal. That's not exactly what you want to see. And this is at 201 miles per hour. So at this point, we don't see as much air hitting this cone because it's flowing up over the top as the airflow as I've turned up the speed. But if the car is racing on the track, there's going to be air at the lower areas that is going to hit that cone, and what is going to be the impact on the car's performance? That is ultimately the question. So it's kind of interesting with Christopher, his picks, because they both have a similar issue where they have a design feature that we're not really sure how it's going to interact with the air as these cars speed down the track. The center parts of both of the cars, the Salt Shaker and the Mach Speeder, are fine. There's nothing wrong there. It's just going to be a question of what happens to the air that hits, in this case, this open cone area, and on the Salt Shaker, those big turbine engines on its side. So it's going to be interesting. You, Christopher, you've got a challenging decision to make if you are going to end up going with one of those two cars, but you have a few days to make your final decision. So that is the Mach Speeder, and the Mach Speeder, definitely one of the cars that was one of our champions early on in the process. And then I think, if I had to guess, that this design, like, just you can see just right here how big this open area is, and it's going to trap air. It's going to trap air and slow the car down. Now, I think if these weren't there, or if they were somehow sealed, then possibly, like, so that there wasn't an opening, then I think this car might do a little better. If I can find, and they make Mach Speeders somewhat frequently, if I can find another one, I might actually try. Well, actually, I guess it wouldn't matter, because I was going to say I would pull these parts off and then see if that made a difference in the car's performance. But the problem is, if I take these off, there's still going to be an open area right there. It's just going to be metal. So I don't know that would necessarily help anything, just somehow pulling those parts off. But if I get another Mach Speeder, I might try it. But this one is staying exactly how it is. As I always say, I don't modify my Hot Wheels cars. I don't put any... I don't add graphite to the wheels. I don't do anything to them. However the cars come out of the package is how they hit the track. There have only been one or two cars where I have had to clip something off, but that was only to make sure that the car fit inside the launcher and could actually race. It wasn't because I was trying to give it an advantage of any kind. So that is that, and I think Christopher is saying that he is going to stick with the Salt Shaker. So we are going to find out how the Salt Shaker performs, and it should be a pretty interesting race, especially because it's the second car with these little skinny disc wheels, and I'd always thought those were a bad idea, but a couple of weeks ago we had a car with these exact same wheels, and it got pretty deep in our tournament. I think it got to the semifinals. So the skinny disc wheels are not necessarily they don't necessarily mean game over. They could be a way to keep your car in the mix. So we have that to look forward to, and see what happens when the air hits those big open turbine engines that it has there on the side. Another example of a car that we had was this one, this Corvette. Let's take a look at it here. Oh, let's get the camera back up and operating. Let's see. And we had this one race. And the thing that was interesting about this is there's so many different factors that are going to impact a car's performance on the track. And the three most important forces are gravity, drag, and friction. The friction part comes into play if a car, usually with narrow cars, if they bounce around the track, they are going to encounter friction as the wheels scrape against the edges of the track, and that will work to slow the car down. Drag, we've been talking about that, and in fact, let me show the what exactly I've been referring to. The Coanda effect, which is, it basically explains how the moving fluids, in this case we're talking about air, tend to follow a curved surface. So with the blitz speeder, you saw a perfect example of the Coanda effect because that airflow was following the curved lines of the car and never separated from it. With the air pressure at the front of the car, when the air first hits the front of the car, it is creating an area of high pressure, and then that air has to flow over, under, and around the car. And especially we're able to see this on the top end, the top side. When that air detaches from the body of the car, it creates an area of low pressure. And since pressure, the air pressure, it's moving from from area of high pressure to an area of low pressure, it's working against the direction the car is trying to move. So that is something that can definitely slow a car down and cost it a race. So with the Mach speeder, for example, the air is building up right in the front where those cones are. The air is building up right in the front, and then after it comes out, it comes up, and then it starts to detach from the car. Well, when it detaches from the car, let's say it detaches about here. Then it creates an area of low pressure back here. There's an area of high pressure here. So that pressure drag is going to be working this way. But meanwhile, the car is trying to move this way. So that pressure differential is going to work against the car and try and slow it down. So cars that can reduce the impact of drag have a much better opportunity on our track to get further down the track faster and perform better. So we're going to see the salt shaker. Christopher has decided he's going with the salt shaker for Saturday's races. If you want to participate in the races on Saturday, all you have to do is go to AtTheTrack.live. You select the Choose a Car tab, and you will be taken to this page that has all of the cars in our fleet listed. There are all types of cars from different eras. There are trucks. There are exotic cars. There are fantasy cars. We have the Hotweiler is a wolf-inspired car. And then we have this T-Rex Destroyer. So we've got dinosaurs. If dinosaurs are your thing, we've got dinosaur cars as well. So whatever kind of Hot Wheels car you are into and you are looking for, we have that. And all you have to do is find it, take the number of the car, drop it in the chat, and I will pull that car. And if it's Saturday, we will take it to the track. If it is Wednesday, then we'll take it to the wind tunnel. But we've seen what these cars are up against with the Blitz Speeder and its aerodynamic profile, and it will really depend on a car getting a good launch, having a good aerodynamic profile, staying straight on the track. Those are all the factors that are going to be pretty much the most important, and if it can reduce drag, that's even better. So we have a couple of cars lined up to race on Saturday, but you are more than welcome to join us and to make your pick. Again, just go to AtTheTrack.live, and we are here every Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific. And Wind Tunnel Wednesday, we take cars, put them in the wind tunnel. Just take a closer look, because we've seen some of these cars perform on the track, and now it's time to look at them in the wind tunnel and see what we see, and if what we see in the wind tunnel matches up with what we saw when the car was racing. So it's a lot going on, but we are here every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Pacific, just taking a look at the cars, taking a little bit of a deeper kind of scientific look at the aerodynamics of these cars. And then Saturday, of course, at the Track Live, Saturday 11 a.m. Pacific. You can join us. You can choose cars to race, or you can go to our YouTube channel and you can find all of the past episodes of At the Track Live and even Wind Tunnel Wednesday to look at in your spare time. So that is what we've got going on. We will be back here on Saturday to have the races and find out how the Salt Shaker is going to do on the track with those big turbine engines and those skinny wheels. Will that make the difference? Will that be the thing that helps push this car over the top? I don't know. We're going to find out on At the Track Live at 11 a.m. Pacific. And we will have new cars that I introduce into the fleet. I have to go into storage, grab some of those, pull them out, and we'll have just another good time. Hopefully you can join us. If you've missed any episodes, go to our YouTube channel, scroll through the live tab, and you'll see all of the episodes, and you might be able to get a better feel for the type of car you want to pick to have success on our track. So that is what we're doing. That's what's coming up. And for Wind Tunnel Wednesday, for All About Aerodynamics, and for AtTheTrack.live, I am Coach James, and until next time, I will see you at the races.